back in episode number 1, about a year ago. We bounced all over Texas for 4 friggin' months, and I promised you that one day I'd return to the Lone Star State to do a deeper dive into Texas-style barbecue. And this, boys and girls, is that episode. So buckle up, because we're headed to Dallas-Fort Worth, where there's tons and tons of cool stuff to do, but we gotta stay focused this time, and the focus will be food. In Texas, food means barbecue, and also in Texas, barbecue means beef. Not that kind of beef. We're talking the 4-legged, swanging horned bovine variety of beef. And Texas smokes the best beef on planet Earth. But the problem is, people know that, and they come from all over the world to stand around in the blistering Texas sun to brave the longest barbecue lines in the nation. And hell yes, it's worth it. We made it. But that ain't just all we're gonna do. Nope, we're gonna do something a little bit different just to kick this adventure up a notch. We're doing barbecue and brewery pairings. You heard that right. Each stop we make for the best brisket on earth will be followed by a stop at a nearby brewery. So you can have your whole day completely wrecked. You're welcome. And we're hitting all 4 corners of the DFW metro area, north, south, east, and west. So no matter where in DFW you happen to be, we're gonna find you a table for some of that fantastic fusion of flavors called Tex-Mex or Mexique. And then we're gonna get you all drunk and silly. It's your lucky day, Peanut. You've discovered Tipsy Gypsy Travels, the only YouTube travel channel with hot beer and shitty service. And as always, the hot beer is free. Already a subscriber? Well, then I don't need to tell you that on this channel we're following the hailstorms, fixing the cars, and fucking around. And guess what? Looks like we're all out of cars.
It's fucking hot. Ain't it, Brian?
I'm on vacation every single day cause I love my occupation. I'm on vacation. If you don't like a life, then here's the go and change it. I'm on vacation every single day cause I love my occupation. I'm on vacation every single day, every single day. Every single day, every single day.
My 2025 hail season kicked off with a month in St. Louis. From there, we went moonshining in West Virginia, and then straight off to Nashville. I'd been on the road 3 straight months, and it was anybody's guess where in the world the hail trail was going to take me next. And it turned out to be Texas, right as it was just starting to get real good and hot. That's the trouble with Texas. I love working in the Lone Star State, but the heat is just always going to be a factor. Once you get acclimated to the working conditions, yeah, it's still going to be brutal midsummer. But for me, the Texas culture is what makes every bit of the suffering worthwhile. I don't know, I just love Texas. I respect their no bullshit law and order attitude, the cultural marriage of Mexican and German heritage, the Latin sound in the red dirt country, cumbia and reggaeton beats, mezcal and tequila, ranch water, Mexican beer. I don't know, it all gets me excited like I'm coming back home each time I get a hail gig down there. And Texas culture just gets more and more uniquely extreme the further south you travel. DFW's barely across the Oklahoma border, but even here, you can kind of start to feel like you're in a different country. And there's some very big differences between the Fort Worth side of things and the whole Dallas vibe, and some equally big opinions on which side is better. Fort Worth is just a little bit country. It's slower paced, a little more laid back and yee-haw, goat rope and shit-kicking cowboy country. Dallas is quite the opposite of that. Lots of money on that side, where the street map resembles a pile of spaghetti, and the traffic is jammed up no matter what day or time you dare to hit the highway. On this side, the old cowtown heritage that's still celebrated in Fort Worth has been reduced to commemorative artwork, steel statues of the old cattle drives that still take place in Fort Worth every day at 11 and 4 o'clock in the Stockyards. But despite their big differences, Fort Worth and Dallas have one thing in common that everybody seems to agree on, and that is the right way to smoke a brisket. So what is the right way to smoke a brisket? Well, I'm glad you didn't ask, because I'm a barbecue fanatic. I do my own smoking during the off season, and I'm from Kansas City, the barbecue capital of the world. But that's not to suggest that KC has the best barbecue in the world. That just means we've got more barbecue joints per capita than anywhere else on earth. But I'm gonna be the first to admit it. As a Kansas City resident, Texas has the best barbecue on earth. Period. Now before you start jumping up and down in your short pants and calling me a traitor, let me explain why that's a factual statement and not just an opinion. The Kansas City style of barbecue showcases burnt ends and pork ribs, all sticky and slathered in sweet, smoky molasses sauce. Now, you might love that sauce, but that doesn't mean KC has the best barbecue. It just means we make great sauce. The dirty little secret of KC barbecue is that, hidden underneath all that sauce, by and large, is subpar barbecue, meaning that without the sauce, it's often dry and flavorless meat. Texas barbecue, on the other hand, is served boldly, without sauce, because the skills of the pitmasters are so superb that their protein doesn't even need it. The sauce is available if you want it, but it doesn't need it. There's no flaws to hide. It's protein perfected. We're working in Arlington, so we're gonna head south for our first pairing, in a little town 15 minutes south of DFW called Mansfield, where barbecue and breweries are gonna come together. Twice. Well, sort of. You'll see what I mean. I liked Mansfield from the jump. It's one of those quaint, neat, and orderly little Texas towns that are a dime a dozen, but it's also completely coated in street art, but in a cutesy, non-threatening kind of style. Family-oriented, folks. Family-oriented. The original destination in Mansfield was Hurtado BBQ, one of the rising stars in DFW with several locations around town, as well as being a pioneer in the Mexican style of Tex-Mex barbecue, where they lean toward Latin flavors in their rubs and in the side dishes, like their hatch chili mac and cheese. I'd eaten at another Hurtado location in Fort Worth last summer, and while the food at both locations didn't disappoint, I'd recommend Mansfield because of the nicer, cleaner dining area. Plus, it's nice just to get the hell out of DFW for one day. Just around the bend from Hurtado's Barbecue, you're gonna find Dirty Job Brewing. I love the name of this pub, and of course I'd done my research ahead of time and I was super stoked about their taps list. Look at this crazy shit. Fizzy Pickle, the Big Dill, and the Pickle Bomb. Their focus was seriously pickle beers and Mexican lagers. Weird, right? So yeah, I ordered a flight. Wasn't really what I expected. I guess I figured the pickle beers would be sour, even though I'm not a big fan of sours. That's what I was expecting, and they weren't. It was just like they'd added dillweed to the mash, or maybe they dry hopped it with dillweed. Either way, very interesting product you got there. Afterwards, I stepped outside, looked down the street, and I saw this, and this. What? A barbecue and brewery pairing all contained in the same venue? Get the fuck out of here. But I should have known it was too good to be true. The brewery was no longer in operation, even though they still advertised the shit out of it. By the Horns Brewing and Del Toro BBQ share a really cool outdoor common area called the Backyard, which is all rigged up with fans and misters to help take the edge off the Texas heat. But ain't nobody having that shit on a triple-digit day. Everybody was dining indoors at one of 3 neighbor restaurants, so you had your options for barbecue, tacos, or burgers. But you know I had to go for the Tejano-style Mexican, washed down with a jalapeno ranch water with a rim dressed in tahini, followed up by a Shiner Bock. If you want to learn about the significance of the box style of beer in Texas, the marriage between German and Mexican culture, and the death by firing squad of the guy who brought those cultures together, check out my first episode. Tejano-style Mexican friggin' rocks. Brisket tostada with chopped green chilies, brisket birria taco with chili consomme, borracho beans, and an armadillo egg. Ain't nothing to hate about any of that. All right, get back in your car seats, kids, because we're headed north. Up near the Grapevine Borough in North DFW, where I'm meeting my godson for lunch on Father's Day at one of his favorite Q joints, Hard Eight BBQ. This is one of those places with multiple locations around the DFW area where they manage to stay open to the public, serving food throughout the week at lunch and dinner, which makes it more convenient to work into your schedule than, say, where we're headed next when we head out west to Goldee's in Fort Worth. I arrived a little bit early to get some shots of the heart and soul of Hard 8, but let me tell you, the smell of sizzling fat and post-oak smoke was enough to make me lose my mind after 20 minutes or so. The payoff for my torture was a huge butcher paper-lined tray of brisket, sausage, and ribs, and a bottomless crock of charro beans that was perhaps more pleasing to the palate than it was to the eye. My favorite thing about Hard 8 was the full spread on display right as you walk in, and the easygoing pay-by-platter weight system that they've got for the protein. You can just point to what you want, say, I want a little bit of that, maybe a chunk of that, a few chunks of that over there, easy peasy. They weigh your tray, and then you pick your sides. Pairing Hard 8 with a nearby brewery was a no-brainer, because Hop and Sting Brewery, just 5 minutes away, had won the gold in the People's Choice for Best Brewery in DFW for like 3 straight years in a row. They were big into their IPAs, with adjuncts like pineapple and coconut and orange dreamsicle, which I can imagine would have gone down pretty good on a hot sunny day in their beer garden under the string lights and live oak trees. That's core Texas right there. But today, Texas wasn't acting like Texas. It was rainy and muggy, and all the outdoor seats were soaked. So I had to mosey indoors and fight the crowd for a little slice of table. Yeah, we see you picking your nose. All right, kids, no quest for the best Texas barbecue would be complete without a mission to one of the real heavy hitters in Texas Q. We're talking one of those places that's only open 2 or 3 days a week for only a few hours per day before they start selling out.
Watch out for that shit. Fuck,
That'll make the reel. If you watched my St. Louis Rib Quest video, you might remember me saying that the line to Pappy's Smokehouse in the Lou was an hour and a half. And at the time, it was the longest line for barbecue that I'd ever stood in. Ha 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 ha! Pappy's ain't got shit on Goldee's barbecue line, way out on the western fringe of Fort Worth, where one fool had even posted on social media that very morning that he was the first one in line at 6 a.m. Goldee's opens at 11. We got there around 9:45 and the parking lot was already jammed full and the line was stacking up. Smarter patrons than ourselves thought to bring camp chairs, umbrellas, and coolers of water and beer. They were basically tailgating. We stood in that blistering hot line for 3.5 hours, boys and girls, and we learned that that was very normal. We also learned that Goldee's provides free bottled water and camp chairs that you can borrow. But we didn't learn that until around noon when we made it closer to the front doors of the establishment and saw the coolers and chairs sitting there. So why would anyone in their right mind put themselves through a 3.5 hour line in direct Texas heat and clouds of smoke and blowing dust for one meal? Well, it's because there's a half dozen Q joints in Texas that consistently land in the top 10 barbecue list according to Texas Monthly, which is the barbecue Bible in the Lone Star State. Goldee's is one of those powerhouses. Don't quote me, but I believe I read somewhere that Goldee's had held its spot in the top 3 for so long that the judges of Texas Monthly had to make a decision to move some of the up-and-coming joints up into those coveted 3 slots, but that didn't necessarily mean that they were better. What? My point is, this is more than just a long-ass barbecue line. This is a baptism. It's a rite of passage up to the holiest of holies in the sacred temple of Texas barbecue.
we made it.
You just gotta do it. There's really no choice in the matter. If you're a true fan of Texas Q, you gotta do it.
I'll take one of each. One of each leg?
Nope.
And any sausage links?
Yeah, I'll do a house and a jalapeno cheddar.
One house, one jalapeno. Last question, any beef ribs or not today?
Not today.
Where are we coming from?
No thanks.
Oh, where are we coming from? One house, one jalapeno.
triple X rated food porn right here. Everything was absolutely perfect. The brisket and ribs were, without a doubt, among the best in the world. It was worth the wait. And hell no, we didn't eat all that. The tray from Goldee's amounted to about 4 full meals for me, and afterward, I couldn't even look at red meat for like 2 or 3 days. All I wanted to eat was salad and chicken. That right there is the point in the meal where I had to throw in the towel. Goldee's had kicked my barbecue butt. And now, we're back to beer. We'll be pairing Goldee's barbecue with Wild Acre Brewing, just a short distance away, also in Fort Worth. The sprawling outdoor beer garden is the perfect place to digest 5 pounds of protein while rehydrating after a 3.5-hour line in the Texas sun. Of all the breweries I hit, and yeah, there were far more involved than what's featured here, I think I'd have to say that Wild Acre was probably my favorite. The tap list was focused on Bocks, Doppelbocks, wheats, and IPAs, and there ain't nothing wrong with any of that. It's actually really hard to find a Doppelbock on tap anywhere, even in Texas where Bock beer style is a pretty big thing. As a home brewer, I can tell you, this is because brewing Doppelbock is a huge pain in the ass. It takes about forever to fully attenuate and settle, and that whole time, which can easily be 2 to 3 months, you gotta maintain perfect cold temperature control or it's all ruined. Doppelbocks are a bit of an art form.
It's fucking hot. Ain't it, Brian?
When in Fort Worth, one of the best places to escape the heat is the Tarantula Tiki Bar. A dark, cold place where they serve their rum concoctions in gigantic community bowls served up family style with a bunch of long straws. But if y'all wanted to ditch the straws and lap out of the bowl like a bunch of stray dogs, yeah, they'd probably let you do that.
We did it!
Most fire! We're looking at their drinks.
Drink envy!
Let me know if y'all need any more straws.
We've hit 3 of the 4 corners of the DFW area with a Q and brew pairing, north, south, and west. But I got some good news and some bad news about the east side. The good news is that I made it to the brewery, and it only seemed fitting to pick 4 Corners Brewing just to satisfy my OCD for the theme of this episode. But here's the bad news. I'm gonna tell you which Q joint I intended to pair with 4 Corners Brewing, but I didn't actually make it there. I know. What happened here is what always happens with a hail repair gig. When the job ends, it ends suddenly and unexpectedly, right out of the wild blue with 0 warning, just to pack your shit and get out, we're all out of cars type of deal. Just a little slap in the face of the false reality that you live here now and it's your new home. No, I've got another home about 9 hours away and I'm ready to get back there and soak up some family time on a much needed break from pushing dents. The intended target for my East DFW barbecue pairing was Terry Black's. Just a short click away from 4 Corners and the Pioneer Plaza with the cattle drive sculptures, Terry Black's Barbecue is a household name in DFW. Plus they got a few other locations in the Lone Star State. Looks pretty great to me. Got all the usual suspects there on the butcher paper lined tray, plus your classic Texas barbecue sides and desserts like banana pudding. But you can't have any of that until you eat your meat there, Peanut. If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?